All right. I believe I am streaming. Hello. Welcome to the Darkroom. I'm just going to try and pull up chat so I might be able to see it in case I get any messages. Let me turn my phone screen red. Oh, and turn that down. Okay. So, there we go. So, welcome to the Darkroom. What we are going to be doing today is just making a very simple print and seeing what streaming in the darkroom might be like. I've got my camera's ISO cranked, so hopefully it looks okay. But let's get started. I have just a few sheets of Ilford multigrade fiber paper here. I'm going to try and just use what's left in this box. But I think I'm going to take out just a couple sheets and put it here into this paper safe so that it's a little bit easier to work with. There we go. Let's see how many we have. We got quite a few. Oh wait, this is RC paper. I don't want RC paper. I want fiber paper. Let's see what we got. I've got 11 by 14. What's this? Multigrade cool tone fiber. All right, let's see. What else do we got? RC. That's direct positive paper. That looks like that might be our winner. Let's see how many of these we got. Oh, we got plenty. Now I'm hoping to make 2 prints, and I'm also hoping that I can do my job pretty well and maybe only use a 3rd sheet for some test strips along the way. And then my 2 final pieces of paper can just go here into my paper safe so they're easier to get to and I don't risk fogging this whole box of paper. If anybody is out there watching and there's any crazy problems or anything, just let me know. I'll see if I can adjust audio and stuff like that. All right, so I've got my pieces of paper. The very first thing to do is to get my enlarger set up. This is a Saunders LPL enlarger. And right now, I believe I have a 105 millimeter lens on there. Yep. And so I'm going to change this out for my 50 millimeter lens because this is a 35 millimeter negative. And so I'm going to be using that 50 millimeter lens for that negative. I could also use maybe a 75 or an 80 because I'm going to be printing it just a little bit bigger than 5x7 is my goal. So it is a relatively small print. Let me put this lens away. There we go. All right. Okay. I can bring this over here. Okay. So the next thing to do, now that we have a lens, I can adjust. I don't need to adjust my stuff yet. Let's get our 6x7 negative carrier out of there and get our 35mm negative carrier. And let's go over to the light table here. I wonder what that's going to look like since it's so bright. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it's very, very bright. Okay, so let's load in our negative. I want to find my brush. Here we go, anti-static brush. And then I have a little cloth. My negative, hopefully, is pretty clean. There we go. And then I can just put that in there. Let me make sure it's in the right orientation. I believe it is. Let me look with the loop. Yes, that's correct. All right, let's lock that down. Now I'm going to check very carefully for any dust. That looks pretty good. Okay. There's a little bit right there. There we go. Let's be extra sure. Gently clean this negative. This is where I'll save myself some time not having to spot these negatives later. Okay, there we go. All right, now we can load our negative here into the enlarger. Let me turn this back down. And then turn on color filters so it's a little bit safer. I know that using some color filters on your phone isn't perfect, but I don't have any paper out right now, so I will put that away later. All right, now let's give it a general focus. We're going to open up the lens and then start to get it somewhere. And then let's do our easel. So here on my easel, I'm just going to adjust the blades. I'm looking for probably about 5.5 by 7.5. So let's bring that up to 7.5 on both sides there, and then 5.5 on both sides here. That'll just give me enough room to be able to mat it. It'll also give me a pretty nice significant white border along my my image. Okay, so we are now ready to take a look at our image and get it lined up. I want to print most of it here. It's an image of my friend working in the studio, and she's creasing a piece of paper. So there is a little tiny splotch in the negative, so I'm kind of using this as my opportunity to frame the image how I might want it. Also knowing that I am probably going to crop it a tiny bit at least. I'm kind of liking where that is at. Let me grab my grain focuser, which is over here. This is going to let me increase the magnification so that I can see the grain and know when it's perfectly in focus. Okay. That looks good right about there. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to get ready to do my test strip. And this is just going to be my initial test strip here to kind of get a starting point on this image. All right. Judging by the contrast of this image in general, I am going to go for probably a filter 3. Let me look at a couple of the other negatives here just to check. I think 3.5 is probably going to work okay. We can always adjust that later. This is just a guess to get us started. Let's stop down a couple stops. And I'm kind of just judging that by eye, but also a couple stops, stop down is not a bad idea. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I am going to do a, let's do a 2-second test strip. So yeah, how I'm going to go about making this test strip, I'm going to take out a piece of paper. I'm going to turn off that enlarger, obviously. Then let's take out a piece of paper and then cut myself a pretty small test strip. I can do this over here on this roto trim. And I'm going to make that about 1 inch wide. There we go. Just like that. Now I want to hold this behind my back, turn on my enlarger for just a little, and try to find an area where I can put that test strip that will hopefully have as much information as possible on this image. So I have an area here where I can see the hand in the background, the kind of white table, so I'm getting a good range of tones. And then I'm going to turn the enlarger off and then put my paper under the easel, overlapping with that portion. Then I'm going to get myself just a piece of cardboard. Let me find a piece that's a good size. That one looks good. And then I am going to turn on the enlarger. I have 2-second increments. So I'm going to do 2 seconds, and then I'm going to begin covering sections of the negative or of the paper. So let's do our first 2 seconds. There we go. Then I'm going to cover about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Hit the next one. Shift it forward another 1/4 of an inch or so. And then I'm going to keep going. I like to make my test strips pretty small. And then maybe at the end, I might do even finer adjustments. But enlargers tend to throw a pretty intense and straight beam of light. So as long as nothing's moving, you can work on these pretty small increments. So there, I probably did about 8 or 9 quarter to 1/8 inch sections. Now I can take this piece of paper, I'm going to take it out for just a second, and I'm going to arrange the camera here so that hopefully you guys can see. There we go. And let me try and adjust the focus. My exposure and aperture are obviously like all the way up, so hopefully you can see that. All right, and let's go ahead and develop this for 1 minute. And I have a clock right here above me. So I'm going to throw it in right there. Oh, sorry, 1 minute. I probably want something closer to 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes because this is fiber paper. So there we go. I like to put the paper in face down at first because it helps get the emulsion into the developer. And then after maybe 15 to 30 seconds, I'll flip it over and then I'll keep going. So we can see an image starting to come in there, and as expected, it is going to be going in a gradient from pretty dark to hopefully very, very light, and then somewhere in between we are going to find what our exposure can be. It is getting very dark. So let's see. This is PQ Universal Developer. So let's see if maybe that is like way too much exposure. That's been 1 minute there. I'm probably going to keep going for a little bit here. Let's stop about there. Let's do 1.5 minutes and just see how it goes. Now I'm moving into the stop bath, and that's going to be about 30 seconds. And the stop bath here is going to neutralize. It is acidic, and it helps to neutralize the developing bath. So there we go. Now we can move from the stop bath into the fixer. These tongs do not like to work. There we go. In the fix, we're going to be removing all of that unexposed silver. Let me try getting a different pair of tongs. These are kind of a pain. And this is just a test strip, but I'm going to try and fix it at least a little bit. There, these tongs are a little better. And then in my wash water, I also have a water chiller. So right here, I've got my big bath of wash water, which you might not be able to see, but it's right here. And once I put this into the wash here, I can turn that on to a very low amount. And then I can turn on these lights, just double checking I don't have any paper out. And there we go. Now everybody should be able to see a little bit better. So let's take a look at this first test strip. Okay, so let's take a look. It is looking very dark immediately. So let's just see what it looks like here. So I am seeing the I am getting an image, and honestly right now it's sitting between 2 seconds and 4 seconds. So that tells me that my exposure time is way too long. Or sorry, my image is way too bright. So what I'm going to need to do is, let's say 3 seconds would maybe be good, but that shutter speed or that amount of exposure time is way too fast. So I am going to consider 3 seconds, but let's do a much broader scale kind of test strip. So instead of, sorry, I am just trying to readjust. There we go. So instead of doing a like such a fine test strip, let's instead do a very kind of wide ranging test strip. Ideally, I would really like my exposure times under the enlarger to be somewhere between 10 and 20 seconds. That's my preference. And so let's work out the math of how we want to do that. Let's turn off our lights again. So right now I'm at 2 seconds. And let's just imagine 3 seconds looked good. And I am currently at f5.6. So I would like to maybe be at 12 seconds. So let's move from f5.6 to f8. And then we can double our time, approximately, to 6 seconds. And then if we move from f8 to f11, we could double our time again. So in theory, 12 seconds would get us somewhere in the ballpark. Now, I'm not going to use a ballpark guesstimate. I'm just going to do another 2-second test strip and see if that one comes out a bit more like what I was expecting. So let's cut ourselves a new couple of test strips. I'll make myself a couple this time so I don't have to keep coming back over here. There we go. All right. Now we're going to basically do exactly the same thing that we just did, but now we should end up closer to our hopeful final time. So let's turn that on. I'm going to mark kind of with my eyes where I want to put this. Do that. Okay. All right. So let's hit our first 2 seconds. Let's get our piece of cardboard, cover that first little 1/8 inch or so, and then we're just going to keep on chugging along, moving it about an 1/8 inch forward every time. Okay. That's 3. I can keep track of them, but I'm going to be able to see them anyway. There's 4. Here's 5. Six. Let's do 7. And then let's do 8. That should give us everything from way too light to hopefully a bit too dark. All right, so let's head back on over to our developing station here. There we go. And then let me readjust focus. Hopefully that is pretty close. All right. So let's take a look. I'm going to start, and I did 1.5 minutes the first time. I'm going to duplicate that again. That is pretty quick for fiber paper, but I was definitely getting full density in my shadows. They were like a very deep black, so that is all pretty good. Again, this is the developer stage. And so I'm just going to give this about its first 15 to 30 seconds face down. and then flip it over. There we go. All right, now this is looking pretty good. I'm basically not seeing anything over on this side. And then I'm getting pretty nice over on the left side where we have more time. Okay. And I'm going to keep this going. I'm at maybe another 15 more seconds. Okay. So there we go. Let that drain a little bit. Put it into our stop bath. Again. So this is our second test strip that we're working on right now. And then hopefully we can at least get close to doing maybe a slightly more advanced specific test strip, maybe test out some dodging and burning before we try any of our final prints here. So let's put this into the fixer. And since this is just a test strip, we don't need too much time in the fix. Now, let's give this a little running water, and we can turn the lights back on. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this one. Okay, and I can hopefully get it a bit in focus for you to see. So this is like what I am hoping to see in most test strips at this stage. So I am enjoying probably somewhere here around the middle. This table is white, so it is going to be pretty much the brightest thing going on. What I am liking is this one right here. So I can just count off 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, which was our estimate from earlier. 12 is looking pretty nice to me. I'm getting some shadows that I like. I'm getting midtones, and the table there is staying pretty light. All right, great. So now we have our kind of starting time, or an estimate at some kind of starting time. So let's go ahead and, sorry, excuse me. There we go. So let's go ahead and consider what we want to do with this negative and how we might want to go about dodging and burning. But we can adjust our time here to 12 seconds. There we go. I'm a little bit curious to see if other filters are going to work well for this negative. So I might try doing a kind of very rudimentary filter test. And I can show you how I would maybe do that. So I am just going to take this little blade here, and I'm going to cut this piece of cardboard pretty straight right down the middle. So I have two fairly crisp, fresh lines that will align for me. There we go. All right, so now I've got kind of these two matching pieces of cardboard here. Let me turn off our lights. And so I would kind of like to see what not just filter 3.5, but I'm kind of interested to see what filter 4, maybe filter 4.5 might look like at this same time of 12 seconds. So here's how I am going to do that. I'm going to get my paper all set up. We're here at 12 seconds, F11, and we are at filter 3.5 right now. Let me get a test strip. All right. Now, I'm going to check just to make sure I'm putting it exactly where I want it, which is right there. Sorry if I am a little bit far away. I know it's probably hard to see me. But I have now aligned my test strip under the easel. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place on approximately like a third of my image. I'm going to place this first piece of cardboard. Okay, so now I'm going to expose for my 12 seconds. There we go. And now I'm going to gently press down and then firmly press on that piece of cardboard and then align that other one and hold that down. And then I can slide the other one away and then place it down, covering that next third. There we go. So let's hit that for 12 seconds. Oops, wait, I didn't want to do that. I want this to be at filter 4. That's the whole point. So let's adjust that to filter 4. It was only on for a second, so we should still be able to get the idea. That's my mistake. All right, now when this one goes off, I'm going to adjust it to filter 4.5 immediately. There we go. Let's adjust to filter 4.5, and then again, hold that first one, slide the cardboard onto it, and then I can fully uncover, and then go for my final 12 seconds. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to have 3 sections of image that are at my 12 seconds, but they are going to be at different exposure times of different filter settings of 3.5 and 4 and 4.5. So let's point you back down at the developing trays. And then let's adjust our focus. There we go. Okay, so let's go right there, looking for the minute mark. I'm gonna go again for about a minute and 30 seconds to maybe a minute and 45 seconds. Starting face down. Okay, let's flip it over. All right, good. So here we are starting to see our image come in. We got about 30 seconds left. Okay. So that's our time there in the developer. Let's move to our stop path. All right. Let's get it in the fix. All right, now let's take a look. Okay, we can hit the lights. Okay. So let's take a peek at this new negative. All right. So here now we have our filter change test strip, as you might expect. So we have filter 3.5, we have filter 4, and then we have filter 4.5. As you would expect from filter 4.5 is about the time where we are now expecting to see the need of some compensation for time on that area. So let's take a look. I'm preferring filter 4. It just has a little bit more contrast, but it's letting this white table pop a little bit. But filter 4.5 is also looking pretty good, although of course needing some more time. So I might stick with filter 4.5 just to see if I can keep that white table looking pretty crisp. So yeah, let's do one test strip at 4.5, and we're going to do maybe from 10 seconds up to 18 seconds in single second increments, because this right here is 12 seconds. So we should end up somewhere in between 12 and 20 seconds or so. All right. Okay. All right, so now when we want to make, like, we're pretty sure we like where our filter is here at 4.5. We're pretty good with our time. So let's do a just single second test strip that is inside of kind of our bounds of being between 10 seconds and about 20 seconds. I'm gonna cut, again, test strip. There we go. And I'm setting my darkroom timer to 10 seconds now. So let's hold that behind my back. Figure out where we want to put it. Lock in our test strip. And now let's do our first 10 seconds. So what we're going to do after we've done that 10-second exposure is we are going to lower our time all the way down to 1 second. So I can just lower this all the way down. And then you probably see where I'm going with this. I'm going to cover up that first section. So that's going to be our 10 seconds. And then I am just going to work my way down in about 1/8 inch increments. Let's do 2 more. And that should be about 19 or 20 seconds. Okay, so let's develop this up. Pardon the camera angle switch. All right. Let's go there. We're going at 8:55:15. So we're going to go until 8:56, 45 seconds. Alright, so we are about ready to flip this over. Let's take a look at what we got. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Looks like we got a good variety between pretty dark and maybe a little bit too light. So let's go for another 30 seconds or so. Okay, there we go. So let's move this test strip from the developer into the stop bath. And then after about 30 seconds, we can move from the stop bath to the fix. And this I'm probably going to do for about 30 seconds, and then we can take a look with the lights on. All right. Now let's get this in a little bit of wash, and then we can take a look at it. There we go. Lights on. Okay. That's the water chiller kicking on. Let's take a look. Hopefully I can get this in focus for you. Okay, so we can see now our very, very fine, or maybe, I hope you can see, maybe you can't, our very, very fine increments from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And so this is looking good. So now we can really see the hand, we can see the object on the table here, and then we can see a little bit of the table. I'm okay with the table having a little bit of nice exposure to it, because there is also a piece of paper here in her hand that is kind of the highlight of the image. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is looking pretty good to me. 14 or maybe 15. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, I like around where 15 is. So let's take a look at maybe making a full print at 15, or deciding if maybe we want to do another test strip. Pardon my face in the camera. Okay. So I wonder if there's a way for me to give you a better view of this. I can. I have a little bit of a tether. But let's turn this off. And then let's take a look here. So I'm at F11 right now. But let me give you an idea, or try to. So here I'm opening back up to 2.8. While I'm here, I can give it another focus just to make sure. Yep. There we go. Focusing on the grain. Okay. I'm going to attempt this. I hope it doesn't lose connection and break everything, but you know, that's what this test is for. There we go. Let me see if I can just get you off of the All right, we're back, I think. Okay. Yes, we are back. Sorry about that. That was kind of a mess. I am also afraid that my audio is potentially really, really bright or really hot. Let me turn that down. Okay, all right, we're back. So what I was hoping to try and show you, let me get my color settings all back where they were. There we go. So what I was hoping to show you was what this looks like under the enlarger. So this is basically what I'm looking at, our image here. And so I can see the negative very clearly, at least when I haven't stopped down the lens or anything. So here, this is going to be my brightest part of the image, this darker part here. And then my shadows are going to be these clear white parts coming through. So I can see those really clearly in that test strip. But I want to just make sure that everything is looking good kind of in the main area that this image is going to be, which is, if it were a test strip, is kind of going to be like right along there. So yeah, let's take a look and probably make one test strip, and I might try doing some light dodging and burning just to see how that's going to go. What I'm thinking right now is maybe just a little bit of dodging all through here. Sorry, a little bit of burning. So I'm going to dodge this area to brighten it up a little bit. And then I'm going to burn this area. You know what? Wait, never mind. I'm being very silly. I want to take away a little bit of light from here to make this area brighter, to bring back a little bit of shadow detail. I don't know that this image really needs that much dodging and burning at all, So I also could attempt to just make a final print, but I want to make a full print at our 15 seconds, at least like maybe a bigger section of test strip. I know that was a very confusing way to say. Okay, we are back, I think, but we need to refresh this. Okay. No more moving the camera. Let me fix the audio. Okay, there's the audio fixed. Here's the color fixed. All right. That hopefully looks okay. Okay. All right, no more moving the camera. We are no longer gonna do that. Let me give this a focus. And let's just get these prints on the road. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to make a potentially final print at this point, with one of my 2 pieces of paper. And then if we need some dodging and burning, I might just do a very tiny bit right now with this little dodging and burning tool. But let's set our time. "15 seconds. Okay. We are on our filter. We are on F11. I'm going to give it a little peek just to make sure I'm seeing grain in focus, which I am. All right, so let's turn off this light. Let's get out one of our full pieces of paper. There we go. Then let's gently lift the easel, put our piece of paper in. And then on this easel, slide it to the left. There. Then, there we go. All right, so we're gonna do our 15 seconds. I'm gonna take away just about like maybe 1 second only from this slightly darker area here. There we go. Maybe a little bit less than a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and develop up our first of 2, hopefully kind of final basic prints. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. Let's give it a focus. Hopefully that's pretty close. Okay. So here's our piece of paper. Again, we know that our time in the developer is going to be 1 minute and 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute and 40. So I'm going to wait until this says, like 30 seconds on the clock. Here's the surface. I'm going to be putting it surface side down right about now. And then very quickly, while trying to be pretty gentle, push down to get the whole paper covered in developer. And the surface of that should have gone very smoothly into the developer in one motion. So I'm going to give the first about 20 to 25 seconds with this print being face down. And then I am going to flip this print. And we should start to see a little bit of an image coming in. There it is. And then we're going to develop up for the rest of our minute and 30 seconds. So we got about 45 seconds left of that. And that image is looking pretty good. I'm liking where the shadow details are. I'm liking where our highlights are ending up. It's still nice and bright here. All right, and I'm gonna call that about there. Let's move it into our stop bath. There we go. Stop that development. All right. Now let's go into our fixer. Gonna gently get that paper out of there. There we go. And then I'm going to fix this for just 1 minute. It's a really good idea to keep your fixing times pretty low, like as low as you can, because that's going to help in your washing stages or any hypo-clear stages to help get that fixer out. So you don't need to necessarily over-fix something. It is definitely possible to over-fix your prints. So we're coming up here in about 10 seconds on our minute. All right, there's 1 minute. Let's gently pull this print out, let any excess come off. Let's start our water. A nice gentle flow of water. And I like this water to be pretty cool to cold. Okay. We can turn on the lights and give it a little look just to see. Make sure we know exactly what we want to do for our final print. See if there's any glaring issues that we want to take care of. So let's give this a look now. Okay, so hopefully you can see that there. This is our print. The white point is looking pretty good. You could maybe go up to filter 5 on this. And we are at 4.5, so we could give that a try. I am liking it, but I do think I would like just a tiny bit more contrast. So test strips are really good, but eventually you just have to make a full print. Treat it as an artist proof. And then here, I'd love to get some more definition in there. I might burn in a little bit there. So let's just see. I am happy with this one, but I kind of want to let's do an experiment with our last piece of paper, or our last section of test strip, just to see. So I'm going to leave this running now. Since we got a piece of paper in there, we should be washing that piece of paper. There we go. Okay, so let's do this print here. I'm going to bump it up to filter 5. I might give us another second or so. And I'm going to be using this big, what's left of our test strip section to be able to really figure out what we can do with this. So what I'm going to be using, actually, I kind of like to pre-orchestrate what I'm going to be trying to do. So I know down here in my giant pile of cardboard, I have at least a couple like this. So this piece of cardboard has a little square hole cut out. So if I turn this on, I can just kind of, and I can see it here, I can just pinpoint burn little areas onto here. Like this extra bright part, I could burn a little bit extra there. I could also use it flat and burn a little bit extra onto the bottom there if I want to increase that contrast there. So that's generally what I'm going to do. I don't want to really dodge too much of what's going on in the shadows there. I'm mostly just interested to burn some of this paper in. That's what I was finding a little bit lacking. Let's give it 17 seconds just to see. If I need to burn it a little bit in the final one, I can do that. And I like this area right here. That's going to give me pretty much all of the parts of this image that I want. So let's do our 17 seconds. And I'm not going to touch this one. I'm just going to let it go. Okay. And then I'm just going to hit the timer again. I'm going to burn this so I'm covering it totally, so I'm not doing anything. I'm going to burn in that area for maybe about 6 seconds. So like half a stop, maybe a third of a stop of extra light in that area. So let's hit that and then wait. So I'm not exposing it. The light is just here on this piece of cardboard. There he goes, about 8 seconds. So let me try and burn in some areas around that piece of paper. All right. So let's see how that looks. And from there, and what I know about this first print, I should have enough information. Okay, so let's go ahead and develop this up. Again, I'm going for 1.5 minutes. So let's get that paper face down. Oh, hello. Hello, Galaxy Designs Gaming. Or, sorry, Galaxy Dragon Gaming. I'm not sure when you posted that, so sorry if I missed that chat message. Alright, that's been our first 30 seconds. Let's flip and do our remaining minute or so. Yes? One second. Sure.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm live streaming in the Darkroom.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's okay. No worries.
Live streaming where?
On YouTube. I'm hoping this is going to be my final test strip, though. Let's see.
It's for video?
Yeah. This one is at filter 4.5, and it still isn't quite as contrasty as I wanted. Let's see.
What's for?
Let's just work. Here, let me see. Oh, it's a little better. I burned in a little bit there. Shadows are definitely better. Yeah, it's better. I might burn in a little bit more there. Other than that, it's probably good.
Just want to say how are you doing?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
I'll
in
be.
studio.
You're in your studio?
Yeah.
All right, I'll come talk to you later.
Yes, please.
All right. So this one's looking pretty good to me. This is at filter 5 for 17 seconds, but then I'm giving an extra 8 or 9, maybe like 3 seconds overall to this area. So I might burn that in a little bit more on this next final print, but I'm happy with where the shadows are. So yeah, I think that's going to be our final print for this quick little printing session. All right, let's make this final print. Okay. All right, so I've got my 17 seconds. I'm trying to think if that area, like the arm and the shadow, if it could be just a little bit darker. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna develop the picture for just a little bit longer, which is kind of a bad habit. I shouldn't do that. I should be developing for the full time every time. But I think that will just solve me wanting to get that part a little bit darker. Okay, there we go. Move that over. Okay. There's our easel. We have our 17 seconds. So let's go ahead and do that main overall exposure for 17 seconds. Okay, and then I'm probably going to start dodging this, the area around the hand and the paper, probably at around 14, 13 seconds. Because I'm using a pretty small dot, so there's 13 seconds. It's like I'm kind of working just around the paper. I'm trying not to change that area too much, but I just want a little bit more light to maybe separate the table from the piece of paper in this picture. All right, either way, I think this is going to be our final print for tonight. I might come back to this negative another time. All right, so I'm going to develop for definitely a minute 45, maybe as much as 2 minutes. I'm gonna play it by ear a little bit. So there, we went in at 26 minutes and 30 seconds. Our first minute is going to be here. First 30 seconds or so. All right, let's flip it over. All right, now we are approaching 1 minute. That's our minute and 30 seconds. Might just give it another little bit, but it's looking pretty good. There we go. That's a minute 45. Get that in the stop. Let's move it over to the fix. Make sure I'm only fixing for 1 minute. And there's our minute. Let's get this out of the fix. and into our wash. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Okay, how's this one look? I like it. It's definitely better than the Filter 4.5. Let's take a quick look. So here is the current one. I think I'm probably going to come back to this negative some other time to really do a little bit more work on it, but the burning here around that piece of paper has really helped. It's really helped us to start to delineate that paper versus the 4.5 where we weren't quite getting the shadow density that we want. So there's kind of both of them. This is just looking a little bit thin, a little bit weak. It's definitely stronger here. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with our final print, but I definitely think I want to come back to this negative another time and see what else I can do with it. Alright, but with that, the only thing left that I'm going to do is I'm going to get these into an archival washer and do a full wash process on them. And other than that, that is about it. I'm just definitely not gonna be in focus, but let me try. There we go. Okay, right here. That looks like 2 meters. All right, well, thanks for watching. If you stopped in at any point, if you're watching the VOD, you've watched all the way to the end, even through the technical difficulties and everything like that. I feel like streaming was pretty fun. I would love to have camera angles set up and probably like just try to dial in all the different stuff. It'd be nice to have like a developing cam and then like a enlarger camera so you can see what I'm doing. But other than that, if you watched, thanks for watching. And maybe I will stream again at some point. But I will see you later.